Welcome to Karate Combat 48, the betting preview show with yours truly, Nick Kalikas. Of course, the human encyclopedia for karate and mixed martial arts in general. We have Mac Tyson Karate, so give him a follow at Twitter at Mac Tyson Karate. And of course, Mallory Woods, the legend himself, is on here as well. We're here today to help you guys break down all the betting odds that are available thanks to our sponsor, betonline.ag. Make sure you guys head over to betonline.ag. All of the fights we're going to be talking about are going to be listed on that site, and there is live betting opportunities. That means you guys can get down real money action on these fights that we're talking about today. And what a card it is. Gentlemen, thank you guys for joining me.
Hey, I'm glad to be back at this, man. This is awesome.
Definitely had a lot of fun last time. And again, it's a work in progress. We're constantly going to be tweaking the show, trying to do more and do better for you guys out there as well. But let's cut to the chase and get right into it because that's what people are here for. They're tuning in to get our picks and predictions for this upcoming card this weekend. Now, again, it takes place on Thursday. We are recording this show on Tuesday, so the event's just around the corner right now. The betting lines can change a little bit as we get closer to fight time as well. We're going to start off with the main event, the heavyweight title up for grabs. Of course, a rematch from a little bit of controversy between Sam Alvey, UFC veteran, and of course, Antonio Arroyo, another UFC veteran. Two solid UFC vets fighting for the Karate Combat heavyweight title. Right now, as you see on the screen at betonline.ag, we have Arroyo coming in at minus 160. He is a slight betting favorite, and Alvey coming in at plus 130 as a slight underdog. Even though Sam Alvey is the champion, he is entering this fight as the underdog, a betting underdog. So let's get right into it. Of course, we got to lean. I always usually talk pre-fight to my guy Mac Tyson Karate and get his thoughts, but I have, so this is going to be like real time here. We're going to get to kind of pick the encyclopedia's brain in front of everybody with some of this stuff. So, of course, we all are familiar with these two gentlemen here. I mean, superstars, really. What more can you say? These guys definitely bring it every time you fight. But what do you think about this rematch? We'll start with Mac Tyson.
So the odds don't surprise me considering how the first fight ended. I think a lot of people are just going to assume a Arroyo win, but there is a big asterisk with Sam Alvey's performance in this fight and the fact that due to error outside the organization's control, a third party set up his corner warm-up area. Sam Alvey injured his foot, and he went into this fight with an injured foot, so he wasn't able to move as well as he normally did, and he was in constant pain during this fight. But with that being said, I think that it's going to be an interesting matchup with his foot fine because he will be able to catch Arroyo better now, but I don't think it will affect too much because Sam Alvey is not a big footwork guy. He's not a big kicker. He comes with a more traditional Kempo style where he's much more focused on using his hands. And even himself would say that he's not the best technical striker. He's a big guy. With a lot of knockout power for the heavyweight division, and he's just going to come forward and take your best shots, which honestly is a very tiring thing to deal with and also disenfranchising. When you're hitting a guy with your best shot and he just keeps coming forward, keeps hunting you down like you saw with Ross Levine, that's a very tough fight. Arroyo, he has a Shotokan background and he kind of mix it with some MMA striking fundamentals. As we see in the video he's very light on his feet, bouncing in and out, very linear motion, good hands, good kicks. He likes to use, just like that, a lot of karate kicks with his lead leg, using it almost like in that superfoot style where it's almost like a second jab for him, while he does power kicks with his rear leg. He's also one of the best calf kickers in the game right now, which lends itself very well to this style. So even with Alvey with his foot just fine, I'd say it's still correct to put Arroyo as the betting favorite in this matchup because he's just the better technical striker. He's going to be faster, and if it goes to the decision, it's very likely going to be in Arroyo's favor. But with that being said, you can't count out that one-punch knockout power from Alvey. He's going to find that shot, and if he finds that shot, it's going to be nasty. He might not be the most technical striker, but even when he throws things that shouldn't work, it lands.
Definitely has a heart of a champion, and we've seen it time and time again. And I honestly think he's put on a little bit more muscle mass. He's definitely he has a different mentality since coming out of the UFC and entering karate combat. I think he's kind of found a new resurgence, kind of something new, something that he's definitely fond of. He's a striker at heart. He's always been throughout his career. So karate combat is perfect for him. What do you think, Mallory? I mean, minus 160. So for the betting fans out there, the public that might not know how the betting odds work, basically what we're saying, we're going to do everything on $100, a money line based on $100. So right now, if you're going to win $100 on Arroyo, you have to risk $160 to win that $100. The other side of it, you put $100 on Sam Alvey, and if he gets the win, you get plus 130, so that's $130 back. So 100 to win 130 on Alvey, or 160 to win 100 on Arroyo. What are your thoughts on the betting line and how this matchup's going to kind of play out, Mallory?
So, it's always cool to see the betting line because you can see exactly how your dollars are going to be at work. I mean, everybody's flush with cash right now, right? I mean, I am. So I'll go ahead and, bet on this. I'll throw 160 to win 100, of course. But no, I think the line here is actually accurate. And one of the things that I actually noticed when watching this replay as we're talking, Sam Alvey did not throw an offensive technique until well into this round. I believe if I looked at the clock, it was a minute 20 left before he even threw something. And that was a front hand kind of a jab, a little bit of a hook. And as Mac was saying, Arroyo was moving around. He's not moving like a quote unquote heavyweight. He's bouncing around, and that calf kick is really sneaky. It gets right there. He's able to throw up the side kick if he wants to. He's got to work on his wall walking skills right there. You see Sam Alvey just running to hunt him down right there. But these two big guys in there, the question you really bring up was how much did that injury and I saw footage of that, man. I hate seeing foot injuries. I've always, during my career, whenever I break a toe or do something to my foot, it always is the worst ever because it affects every single thing. Forget about kicking, your mobility. You can't bounce around. You can't do this, that, and the other. You want to pivot off your foot. You can't. So how much of this did affect Sam Alvey last time? We know there was controversial with the headbutt at the end, but I think the odds makers in this case have gotten it right. But I do like Sam's chances a little bit better than the odds really see on the screen. You're fighting in his backyard, okay? He's got a lot to prove. He doesn't have to travel. He's right there with his wonderful wife and all the hundreds of kids that he's got, and the food truck and everything. So Sam's going to be at home, And as you can see here, once he gets close, he's going to grapple and he's going to land on our and as Ross Levine can tell you yourself, that big body landing on you takes a lot out of it. So the question is, can Antonio close the distance and put Sam's lights out before he can counter and kind of move in the Homer Simpson tactic? It really reminds me of Homer, where he just sit there and move. Mo's manager, he's just getting hit. And what Homer would do is exhaust the fighter completely and then just tap him and push him over. I'm not saying Sam Alvey's Homer Simpson, but the fighting styles are a little bit the same here.
He missed weight one time, Mal. You don't need to be comparing him to Homer Simpson.
I didn't say his body was Homer Simpson. I definitely didn't say that.
Yeah, no, and you know what? You got to consider, I guess, the cardio coming into play here as well, like you guys mentioned. If this fight plays out, I do trust Sam Alvey a little bit more as far as cardio, that warrior in him. I think he could dig a little bit deeper, as you said, and it might favor him as the fight goes. So I think Arroyo, if he's going to clearly win this fight, he might have to spark Alvey a little bit early in the fight, maybe the first round, maybe round two. After that, I think it's going to start to get really interesting because I think, again, from what I've seen based on their careers inside and outside of the octagon, whatever you want to say, pre-UFC, after UFC, during UFC, I just think that Alvey is probably a little bit more trustworthy as the fight progresses. But for me, if I had to bet this fight, I probably would go dog or pass. I think Alvey has that little bit of chip on his shoulder. Like you said, he's kind of enjoying life right now as well. And it's all about the betting. So for me, it's hard to lay 160 to win 100. I would rather go 100 to win 130. Last time, the odds closed a little bit tighter as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see this drop a little bit and the line get a little bit worse for Sam Alvey. So I agree. I think it's a dog or pass situation. Again, at the betting window, I wouldn't be surprised if Arroyo wins by knockout, but we're talking about betting this fight. And I think the value might lie on the Sam Alvey side when it's all said and done.
Yeah, it's interesting. For me, I would also bet Sam Alvey for the same reasons you said. But when it comes to voting on the app, I would go Arroyo. And the reasoning for that is because, like in betting, when you vote on the underdog, you have a higher reward. But however, what I'm finding with the app is it's almost better to vote on the fighter you think has the higher chance of winning, because then you are guaranteed to get some return, and you don't lose anything. So if you're wrong, so I'd say always vote who you think you're going to win, and if they happen to be a underdog, double or triple down on that. That's my new voting strategy that I'm experimenting with on this app, because the game is changing, and I want to find the best method for this app.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the app because that's very true. There's different ways you can kind of enjoy karate combat as far as the betting aspect goes. Again, you head over to Bet Online and bet real money, or the Up Only Gaming app. Download the Karate Combat app. It's available on karate.com. And then again, what Mac Tyson Karate just said. If you're using the app and you think a fighter's going to win, then you can. It's more of a pick 'em game than it is kind of risking your own cash. So it's kind of a free roll type of situation. I agree with you, honestly. Now, if the odds were so lopsided and Alvey becomes a huge dog on the app, then of course I would honestly take Alvey on the app. But like you said, if it's pretty competitive, if it's close, then just go with who you're picking, because again, you got a free roll, you're not losing anything like that. But if we're talking about real money betting and it's coming out of your pocket, I think I would rather side with Alvey and kind of take that risk a little bit more so. Love it, man. I think we did some good stuff here on this main event.
And just one point to put out, voting is open now. I just actually saw the notification on before we started the show. So voting is open. So by the time you actually are viewing this, you can log into the app and vote.
All right. I see I see the percentages right now. And actually, as we're talking, I'm glad you said something. It is 66% for Arroyo coming in here right now. So there might be some value on Sam Alvey, even though it's not such a lopsided, whatever the case may be. It's still, according to the betting odds, there's probably a little bit of wiggle room on the Sam Alvey side. So honestly, where the current app is right now, I would probably take Sam Alvey on the app as well. All right, let's move on. Let's go to the co-main event. We have a popular, up-and-coming, hyped fighter that's getting a lot of recognition outside of the major organizations, whatever you want to say. So this is a great grab for Karate Combat. And Christian Perez is taking on John Marquez. Now, this one's a kind of a chalky line. Right now, Christian Perez is coming in at minus 500. I was talking about hype, talking about talent. This kid seems to be the part for sure. Now, the other side of it, John Marquez, solid fighter, veteran fighter as well, a very solid test. Love this co-main event matchup. But again, right now, the betting odds over at betonline.ag find Christian Perez minus 500. That means you have to bet $500 to win $100 if Christian wins. Or the other side of it, Marquez, a fairly decent-sized dog at plus 375. You throw $100 on Marquez, and if he wins, he pulls off the upset, you get $375 back. So that's where the betting odds right now. Obviously, Christian Perez is supposed to win this fight. I'm going to take a glance actually at the Up Only Gaming app, the Karate Combat app, and it does say Christian Perez is around 76% on the app as well. So I think people understand the narrative here. I do agree with it, but again, if you're risking 500 to win 100, not as easy to lay down your real cash. Let's start off with Mac Tyson Karate. What do you think about this fight?
As you said, it's Christian Perez's fight to win in this matchup, because he is the golden boy coming out of Latin America right now. He's one of the hottest prospects coming out of Mexico. Everybody thought he was going to go to the UFC. The signing for Karate Combat is a huge shock, and it just goes to show how high level and how attractive Karate Combat is for MMA strikers these days. But I agree that he's a heavy favorite. I think the odds are fine, but I will say there are some factors to consider when it comes to John Marquez, which is one, a lot of his losses have come from decisions, so he hasn't really finished. But one of his wins in kickboxing was against Dean Barry, high-level sport karate athlete, made it to the UFC, so a UFC caliber opponent. So when you look at at his record, you see that Christian Perez has much more experience, but John Marquez has had quality opponents, because even though Dean Barry isn't as highly touted as a fighter these days, UFC doesn't take bums. A bum in the UFC is still one of the top 1% fighters in the world. So that's that is a win that he needs to be proud of, and it goes to show what his striking level is. But with that being said, I still gotta give it to Perez. Experience speaks, and he's on a roll right now. it would be a upset if Marquez pulled this off.
Oh, you're muted. Sorry, Nick, you're muted.
I'm sitting here talking muted, sipping my coffee. Don't want to be rude. Sorry about that. Apologies. No, I think most people agree. The odds makers are in line with what Mac Tyson Karate just said. Let's hear what Mallory Woods has to say. What do you think here, Mallory?
So it's
Especially
interesting
since
that
Dean is your boy.
I was gonna say you pulled that out, and I had to go look. So I pulled up Tapology over here in the other browser, and that's right. I do remember seeing John Marquez's last fight that Dean Barry did fight, and it was a spinning back elbow, and man, it actually put Dean out. Man, I felt really bad to see that. Dean's a good friend of mine. I definitely didn't want to see, whenever you have friends in this game and you see them lose, it seems like you kind of suffer the loss with them a little bit, right? But looking back on this record, John Marquez has got a couple wins to strung together, but there's a loss-win-loss combination. And going on the other side of the coin, going over to Christian Perez, I mean, there's just a ton of green. I mean, he's got a loss here. I believe that was in 2021. That was the last time he lost. But there's a bunch of green and a bunch of W's there. That just says that, yes, you are the next guy up there. So the question is that if he comes out here and he highlights, can Karate Combat still hold him down? Or is he going to, say, I'm going to test the waters of the UFC? I mean, don't forget PFL is still out there too. This could be his choice as to where he wants to go. I'm actually really looking forward to this co-main event, and I think I have to go also with the favorite, for Christian Perez in this one. But this is going to be one to watch.
It really is. I love, like I said, it's a good test because it's not going to be a walk in the park for Christian Perez. I think they could have put him in this co-main event slot and just given him somebody he could just walk right through in maybe a minute or so. And that's not exactly what you're getting with Marquez. So a very good matchmaking here. I think we're all in agreement. Again, right now at Karate Combat, the app at karate.com, they do have Christian Perez is about a 76% favorite as well. So everybody's kind of lining up with this one as well. All right, let's move on. Two more UFC veterans coming in here with Efrain Escudero taking on Brandon Jenkins. Now, dude, Brandon Jenkins, to me, in my opinion, he's looked so good so far in Karate Combat. I mean, been nothing but impressed. Even in his last fight, I mean, that was craziness, but I wasn't even surprised by the final result. I was not. I swear, I knew it was going to be kind of an interesting. Ontiveros was going to come on round one. He had to weather that storm, and that's the kind of fighter Brandon Jenkins is. He's talented offensively, but he's durable, he's tough, and he comes to fight every time. So Jenkins entering as a decent-sized favorite here, minus 300, over the popular and the very well-respected Efrain Escudero. Of course, Escudero has had a lot of success inside and outside of the UFC. He got the W in Karate Combat, a very close decision win last time out. So this is
Escudero is 0-1.
Oh, I'm sorry, a close decision loss, I should say, right?
Yes.
Or did he get?
I can double check to see if it was a split or not.
Yeah. I know it was a very competitive fight. We'll have to go back.
That's definitely true.
Yeah. So
and loads of experience with Escudero.
He does have loads of experience, 100%. And I think that showed pretty well. Yeah, he lost to we're seeing the fight with Alves here. And, of course, Alves coming in off that destruction of James Vick, too. So he did fight competitive, and it was a very close it kind of, back and forth type of fight over here with Alves that first time out. But that being said, still, Brandon Jenkins, I think, has still looked more impressive overall, even though Alves, again, coming off that enormous win last time out, not necessarily a bad loss for Escudero, but still here, I do believe as the fight plays out a little bit, I like Jenkins here. I think he should be a solid favorite. I think Bet Online has the right price, minus 300 plus 240. So again, that's risking $300 on the Jenkins side to win $100 or $100 on the dog Escudero to win 240 here. Let's start with Mallory this time. Mallory, what do you think about this fight? How do you think it plays out?
So I made the mistake of betting against Brandon Jenkins last time. I went the opposite direction, and he really, you know what?
Had to go with the sport karate guy.
He was getting lit up. But I'm telling you what, man, he stood in there, he held it down, and then he did what he does. Also, if I'm correct, if I'm not wrong, I did see a social media post this week that Ross Levine was getting some work in with Brennan previous week ago. I think I saw that post. So this is only good for him. And he's a guy that, like, for example, you may kind of take lightly. You kind of look across the ring. You know, some people fit the mold. It's always interesting because if you were doing a complete blind look right now, and you look across the ring, you see this guy, and you look across the ring, you see this guy, you're going to kind of like, you know what? I think I'm good with this guy. You probably would not pick Brandon Jenkins. I'm just saying for looks. However, this kid can fight. This kid can absolutely fight, and his stock is only rising. I think they got it right this time. I'm also going with Jenkins on this one.
All right, I like it, man. I'm glad you agree too, because you're absolutely right. I mean, if you look at the guy, you're thinking to himself. I mean, even the fight that we have playing right here. I mean, just looking at these guys physically, whatever you may say. I mean, you're going to probably underestimate a guy like Brandon Jenkins. What do you think, Encyclopedia? Mac Tyson karate. How do you think this fight plays out? I know you got to be impressed with Jenkins so far in karate combat.
Oh yeah, no, Brandon Jenkins, he's a rising star. With fighters, some of them like Shazab and now with Jenkins, you just see that like superstardom starting to grow and the fan base really getting behind Brandon Jenkins, and that's why this fight is so important for him to win, because this is a big challenge for him. But I think there are some factors here that aren't being discussed. Stylistically, this is a little bit of a tough matchup because. As Jenkins would describe his own style, he has a very Muay Kwando style, a mixture of Muay Thai and Taekwondo. I think the only alternative was to call it Taekwondo, THAI. So,
I like the little play.
Efrain Escudero, wrestle boxer.
Mm-hmm.
That we saw in that first fight that we saw, he was able to take his opponent down and set up and use it to set up his hands better. Jenkins has good takedowns. He's trained MMA in a long time, but the reason he came to karate combat is he's more of a striker. So that grappling aspect is something that's going to play in. But more importantly, this is a short notice fight for Brandon Jenkins. He's taking this fight on short notice. He wasn't so unless he was really working his grappling defense. That is another aspect that factors into the fight.
Love it, man. That's exactly what we bring to the table here with Mac Tyson Karate, giving us the nugs there. I mean, short notice, the grappling aspect of things, both these guys having the MMA experience, I think it kind of will neutralize each other out, but make no mistake, Efrain Escudero is definitely the more grappling-based fighter, especially in his mixed martial arts career, even though he does have really good hands, as you pointed out, too. So this is going to be interesting. And again, it's hard to lay the chalk. I would pick, again, on the Karate Combat app, let's take a look and see what's going on over there. Ooh, 90%. You're talking about popularity. You are absolutely right. Early on, at least, 90% of the fans are picking Jenkins over Escudero, which, again, if you think about it now, Escudero being in the UFC, the household name type of thing, you know, when he had his run in the UFC, whatever the case may be, a little bit surprising, but I agree with it. I think the fans agree with it. Again, obviously the odds makers agree with it as well overall, with Jenkins coming in as a steep favorite. So at the app, what would you guys do here? Would you still
a young eats old matchup?
I'm sorry.
I think a lot of people are seeing this as a young eats old matchup.
Yeah, I would kind of agree with that as well, even though Jenkins is not, you know, a total young gun or whatnot, but is still Escudero is definitely the older fighter, especially in fight years, everything all considering. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Karate Combat right now on the app, it's 90% Jenkins. Would you guys pick Jenkins still at 90%?
Let's see here. You're right. It's 90%. I'm making it 91% because I just picked him.
Okay, that answers my question right there. Still, I mean,
it's a very tempting pick for Efrain Escudero, but I feel like underestimating Jenkins is a bad decision. He's got all the momentum behind him right now, and it doesn't feel like he can lose right now until he gets to a title shot.
I agree with you. From what I've seen too, man, I think so. And again, that was a crazy tough fight last time out for both guys. So, but that's also. But again, respect to Escudero. Even though he's coming off a loss, he's fighting one of the best fighters Karate Combat has right now too.
To like, maybe it's just because I'm a fan, and this is the hard part with with voting is that like sometimes you get too emotionally invested, and there are some people that literally just vote which fighter they like more. And that's not a bad way to play on the app. But if you are looking for the biggest bang for your buck, then the smart money move is to put your tokens down on Escudero with those odds. If things start to even out more, Then maybe you go back to Brandon Jenkins. But right now, the biggest bang for your buck is the Escudero, because the odds of him of Jenkins winning is not 90%. I wouldn't say.
Exactly. No, 100%. I'm in complete agreement with you. In fact, I'm going to give you right now. Yeah, if this was at the sports books, I mean, you got to be talking about Jenkins winning this fight 9 out of 10 times, right? That would justify the 90% price tag, whatever the case may be. I don't know if he wins it right now 9 out of 10 times, because I think Escudero could sneak in there and steal a couple wins possibly as well. So the value probably is there. But again, Mallory just made a pick, and it's risk-free. That's what you got to love about the app. I mean, you're not laying down your hard-earned money. You're laying down your pick on the app. So, again, you can't blame people for taking what I think is the logical pick in Jenkins. But from, again, bettor's perspective, or if you're trying to get a little bit more value for your pick, your coins, whatever, the tokens, whatever you want to say, then it might be the Escudero side. But good stuff, man. I think we definitely guided people in the right direction a little bit there. All right, let's move down to the next fight. And this is another good one, man. We have Weber, I'm going to pronounce it Weber Almeida. Again, sorry for the butchering of these names off and on. And Peter Caballero. Now, Almeida coming in minus 500 again, similar to kind of price tag. Caballero on the other side, plus 375. So 500 to win 100 on Almeida. Caballero, 100 to win you, plus 375. We'll go back to Mike Tyson here, and you can fill us in. Obviously, some fans are going to be more familiar with Almeida, but give us a scoop on this fight. Minus 500, another hefty, solid favorite in Almeida. What do you think here?
So Peter Caballero.
There you go.
Peter Caballero, as a Puerto Rican pronunciation. El Vaquero is it comes from a Dutch kickboxing base. He has a black belt in Dutch kickboxing. Also has some Taekwondo experience. He fought in Kickback 1, and according to my notes, he lost that fight. But he did so well and was such a fan favorite in this fight that we needed to see him back. So it's going to be interesting. But he has a tough challenge in Weber Almeida. Weber Almeida just decimated his opponent in his debut. Coming from that Machida karate lineage, he's very he's very technical, traditional karate style striker. The thing, though, that works in Caballero's favor is that he's a bit bigger, because Weber Almeida fights at 145 in MMA, and he could potentially even make a 135 debut in karate combat. So he's fighting up in weight. But still, when it comes to striking ability, I'd say that Weber Almeida has the advantage here.
All right, I like it. Again, I think what we're seeing from you, a lot of these fighters, especially if you're training with a guy like Machida, sometimes the price gets a little bit overinflated, and these matchups are usually a little bit tougher than the current betting odds indicate time and time again. But again, from the odds maker's perspective, you know where the money's going to probably go. It's going to be on the Almeida side, I think, more so. He's the more attractive bet, so to speak, especially from what we've seen, between the two thus far. So you got to think that they're going to add a little bit of chalk to the line because of the popularity. It's kind of a popularity contest sometimes. But that being said, you could definitely take advantage of the line being a little bit overinflated or whatever the case may be. Mallory, do you think this line is overinflated, or do you think it's about
also right? One other factor to throw in here, so some knowledge that a lot of people don't know, is that Peter Caballero was not the first opponent offered to Weber Almeida. So Weber Almeida's been in camp just a little bit longer. They both have had full camps, but Weber Almeida's been preparing a little bit longer.
Nice. Okay, that is a quality nugget right there too. I mean, a lot of times, obviously, getting a little bit extra work give you over the edge, slight advantage, getting a little bit more comfortable. So, Mallory, what do you think? I mean, again, another hefty favorite, minus 500 or plus 375 here.
Man, check your wallets this one, because the smart money says, hey, go ahead with Weber. But if you like living dangerously, throw some ducats Peter's way. But however, I think that you're onto a good point here in terms of, like, for example, taking it back to kind of sport karate or some other things. People put a lot of value on who your sensei is or who you're trained by, and that could artificially inflate the bottom line here. I'm not saying it does in this case. However, we do see that in terms of, like, oh yeah, he's a such and such student. But I will say, on the other hand, though, there would be times that I'd be competing. I would see certain dojos or certain instructors. I'd see logos, and I'd be like, I'm going to watch this person a little bit closer. So buyer beware. The name comes with recognition, but I think that definitely got it right this time. I'm throwing my karate tokens after Weber Almeida. You see, he's just absolutely just stylistically, systematically given the business here. He's just almost Terminator-esque, just walking him down, man. Just doing his thing.
Yeah, and he's got a lot of, outside of the karate combat pit, he's got Bellator experience in the past as well. So he's fought, and again, with the Lyoto Machida background, the tradition, everything kind of coming into play here. I really believe that, the upside is huge for this young man for sure. And another solid matchup because, again, Caballero is going to test him for sure.
I mean, literally, we couldn't get through talking about his fight before he got done. His night's over. And you can see that Machida style. Just he looks like he is just in the dojo, almost doing a kata. Just absolutely doing work. Almost seemed like he couldn't be stopped there. So, yeah, a big things for this young man.
Yeah, I agree. I think Karate Combat can kind of grab him, and he keeps on rolling with these wins and kind of make him a homegrown star, so to speak. You know what I mean? And put him out there in the spotlight even more. But, yeah, big upside for Almeida. So it sounds like we're on agreement. And let's look at the app right now. I'm sure it's going to be 84% for Almeida as well. So it's almost lined up. It's kind of exactly what the betting odds kind of are out there right now, minus 500 or so. So the applied win probability is fairly close to that right now. So Almeida, another chalky favorite. I think you're safe to pick him on the app. Again, it's a risk-free bet kind on the app. So not with real money. At betonline.ag, a little bit more hesitation laying that 5-1 because Caballero is definitely going to be a game fighter. But we can move on to another one. Oh, dude, one of my favorite fighters, honestly, as of late, especially because I think, talk about a homegrown star. Owen Chimaev, to me, has just been amazing. I mean, what a performance he's coming off of. And I want to see this guy fight. I'm glad he's doing kind of a quick turnaround because I want to see him fight as often as I can because I think the sky's the limit for this kid for sure. And he's taking on another solid vet, Jordan Winzinski right now. So Chimaev, that's why you're seeing the price here kind of short. A lot of people might be surprised. Chimaev only minus 200 because they might not know Winski. But Jordan Winski is definitely, again, a solid fighter. We'll start. You want to start off with this one, Mallory, or you want to throw it up?
I like the fact that I've had the chance to see Owen in person, fight once. In person was great. But this is some vintage. This is actually something that the Karate Combat's put up and talking about the best of Owen Chimaev here. So we're going to see a good sample of a lot of his wins within Karate Combat. And one of the things that I like that he had a couple losses and everything, but he went back and refocused. He looked absolutely amazing his last fight. I mean, completely different. And also the fact that he embraced the Irish Cowboy. Now I'm stealing this. I'm going to say this definitely comes from our good friend Abby over at the Fight Space. I've never seen a guy that is from another country come in and wear a cowboy hat and cowboy get up. It looks so authentic. And he does actually take care of cows at home. He has that background, but I mean, you could slide him right on in and he looks just absolutely like a cowboy in his get up. You see right here, eats a couple punches, ducks underneath the kick. His fight IQ is really off the chart. He's only getting better. I think we're looking at Owen 2.0 right now. And the improvement is something we've well waited for. So I think, I would actually bump this line, because Owen should probably be an even better favorite here, in my opinion, a greater favorite. But, the next time you have numbers onto the right of his name, they're going to be much higher, guaranteed.
I like it, man. And like I said, he's one of my favorite fighters to watch. I mean, and again, I'll throw it to Mac Tyson real quick, but I just got to mention, I mean, again, that Nunes win last time was just from the beginning to end, that performance that he put on against a very dangerous opponent was so impressive. And then even his loss to Perez was controversial. That was close, and that could have went either way. And then, of course, losing to Tebuev, I mean, he's the champion right now, too. That's not a bad loss at all, and that kick was just vicious. I think that would have probably stopped a lot of fighters in their tracks there as well. So we're nothing but really good stuff to say about the betting favorite and Owen Chimaev here, but I want to hear the other side of things because, again, we got to give Winski some credit here, man. I mean, he's an LFA vet. He's a veteran of Bellator as well. This guy's had some really solid full contact experience. And, again, that's what I was kind of referring to. I think that's why you're seeing a more competitive line because a lot of these veteran MMA fighters that are coming into the Karate Combat pit, they face a lot of full contact. They have that experience. They have that real time adrenaline, everything kind of blends in, and they have a little bit more experience when they come in here with full contact fights. But not taking anything away from Owen, because he's gotten, like I said, he's grown up kind of right in front of our eyes, and I think he's incredible, as I mentioned a million times already. So let's get it to Mac Tyson finally. I'll shut up. Mac Tyson, what do you think? I know you love both these guys. Well, I know you love Owen. He's an incredible fighter, but I know you got the scoop on Winsky as well.
Okay, so with Jordan Winsky, I also want to put a little bit of information on his nickname. It's Jordan, I'm going to Winsky.
All right.
He's coming to Karate Combat on the recommendation of the champion, Sam Alvey. So this is a high level. Sam Alvey has sold him as a high level guy, so we're giving him one of the best homegrown athletes in Karate Combat in Owen Chelmia. And also, just to further on one of Mal's points, just as a side note, Owen is the only guy that I know that would go tend to his cows 1 hour, then in the next hour go shadow boxing in Tim's, and then in the next hour work on his PhD in artificial intelligence and system processing.
He's covering it all, man. Come on, you got
to. And then in the next hour, either play video games or tend to his Funko Pop collection. True Renaissance man in Owen.
100%. It doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah. Oh man, diverse. Go ahead.
But with Owen, the advantage he had, because this fight was made a little bit more short notice, but the advantage Owen had is that his mom, who is his head coach, had a feeling that Owen might get an opportunity for a short notice fight on one of these upcoming cards. So she's kept him in camp ready to go. So he's in a great shape for this fight. And also, the only disadvantage is he wasn't able to go down to the goat shed this training camp. And that's where he gets a lot of the work with more of the MMA fighters, because in Ireland, the type of sparring he can get access to is just boxing. But honestly, Owen is such an amazing fighter. He was a champion without any sparring. So just the fact that he's getting sparring is a huge advantage. His hands are going to be crisp. He's going to be dancing around in that ring. It's going to be a tough fight for Jordan Winsky, but it's also a huge challenge for Owen Chelmia because it's a guy with a lot more full contact experience than him. He's been in this stage with those big lights before. It's not going to be anything new for him.
100%. That's why you're seeing competitive, and it makes a lot of sense with Sam Alvey recommending this guy, because iron sharpens iron, and he knows exactly what Winsky brings to the table. And don't think that he's going to go feed his boy to the wolves, so to speak, either. He knows that he obviously has a shot here. And according to the betting odds, you're looking only 200 favorite. We've been talking about some chalky favorites, minus 500s, minus 300s, whatever the case may be. Minus 2-1 is a pretty competitive matchup. So that's not a lot of chalk. $200 to win 100 on Owen, or the other side of it with Winsky is 100 coming back to win about 160. So now, that being said, just imagine if Winsky does pull off this win. For me, I've become such a fan, I should say, of Owen, that I want him to keep on seeing him win and just keep on rolling off these quality wins. But Winsky comes in here, steals this fight. I mean, you're talking about somebody that definitely has a high ceiling in Karate Combat as well, coming in here and winning like this. So I don't think he's going to. I would pick Owen on the app. I would pick Owen as well. Let's see the app actually. Now we're seeing, and
it's a huge win if Winsky wins. It gets him straight into the title conversation if he gets this win.
Right.
I agree. Yeah, I agree, because I think if Owen wins, he can't you got to put him back in the conversation, even though he lost to Perez. I wouldn't mind seeing that run back either. I mean, maybe
especially since that fight did not happen at 135.
There you go. That's a good point too. Yeah, that's right. He stepped up in weight. You're right, absolutely. So love it.
And let's not forget that right after Owen got this spectacular win, he goes back to the hotel and starts training again. Quite literally, he was on. I saw a video of him on the. He was literally on the stair stepper or I'm sorry, the treadmill right after that. So this guy loves what he does. So currently right now, just to point out, we've got 75% for Owen, 25% for Jordan on the app.
Wow. Again, I still would probably click Owen on the app, even though it's lopsided that way. I would. Again, you're talking about a risk-free thing. I think Winsky's going to bring it. He's going to be a tough out, but I still think Owen wins this fight. So But a good matchup again, and I'm glad we're getting some of these crossover fighters, some guys like this, like Alvy's bringing in, and again, I said it, iron sharpens iron, and what you're getting is some of the better camps that are bringing in some talent into karate combat that deserves to be here. So I love it. New faces, new blood, always a good thing.
Yeah.
All right, you guys ready to talk about another rematch?
Yes.
Yes. Mal, I sent you a link in Discord that will take you directly to the fight.
Oh, I think I actually might have it up, but let me double check that real quick and make sure I have got it. 1 second. Yeah, actually, we are thinking once again. This is the same time today. We are thinking the same wavelength. So, spoiler: we already did a podcast earlier today, and that should be it. What you were talking about.
Yeah, and of course, when I'm talking about the rematch right now. Akhmedov versus Oliveira. I don't want to butcher these guys' names. Gustavo Oliveira versus. You want to help me out, Mac Tyson? Do you think you could get these names?
I didn't work back one. I didn't.
Okay.
I don't. I was very little involved with this event, so I have no idea how it's pronounced.
Okay, all right. So we'll do our best here. But Akhmedov coming is minus 200. The comeback on Oliveira about plus 160. Now let me just say this. That's the line right now. So $200 on Akhmedov wins you. $100 or 100 wins 160 on Oliveira. The first time around, I do have the odds. It was flipped. And let me see. Bring them up real quick here. Actually, what I'm saying is Oliveira was a solid favorite the first time around. And, of course, there was some it was a controversial decision. You see it playing out in the background here. And right now, you're seeing Akhmedov coming as a favorite. So even though Oliveira got the W, a lot of people believe Akhmedov won that fight, and he's coming in entering the betting favorite here as well. So let's start off with, let's go with you, Mac Tyson, in this fight here. What do you think about Akhmedov versus Oliveira, the rematch? And I'm glad they ran this back because I think there was a lot of unfinished business and a lot of uncertainty. So what do you think about this?
From what I remember, this fight, it was a barn burner, and I'm just kind of happy I get to see it again. I would put this more of a pick'ems because we don't really know what they've done since this because we don't really have. It's not like they are running it back after having another fight, and we can see how they've improved. So, and this was a pretty close fight. I felt like Safar won this from what I remember from watching it, but it was a very close fight. So, I'd have it as a pick'em. On the app, I want to put money down on this fight, and on the app, I might even sit it up.
Wow. All right, because I'm looking at the original odds. It was minus 260 the first time around, plus 200. So Oliveira was minus 260, plus 200 Akhmedov. And now you're seeing Akhmedov minus 200, plus 160 on Oliveira. So there could be something there. Such a competitive fight. Might be closer to a pick'em type of fight, which means minus 120, minus 115 each way, something like that. So Mallory, what do you think here? It's going to be a competitive one, but the public already switched so much.
Exactly.
To give a little background on the guys, though, just so for people know, Safar Mamad Akhmedov is an amateur world champion kickboxer turned professional mixed martial arts fighter, while Gustavo Oliveira, he is part of the Showtime Group team, and he comes from a Taekwondo background like Anthony Pettis. He came on the recommendation of that team, so it's he's one of Anthony Pettis's picked guys that he thinks will be dominant in this fight, like we've seen Luis Melendez be.
And like you said, again, iron sharpens iron. We see a lot of these guys coming in here, and that's a good nugget too, for sure. A lot of people probably were uncertain about that. So, how do you think this one's going to play out?
Well, one of the things that's interesting about rematch is that both guys have danced before. So whenever you rematch someone, you have got the experience, whether you won or lost the fight. Both of those can be deceptive. For example, if you went up against the fighter and you actually took the loss, you think that the fighter that won has the advantage. Not necessarily true. As you can say, as you were mentioned before, these odds have flipped. And actually just looking at the app again, just to going back to that, they've got it as for Oliveira 35%, and Akhmedov is the favorite on the app, which is like, I was like, okay, I didn't think it would be that great of a discrepancy. But these guys have danced before, and it was a really good fight. Now, I think, Mac, you were telling us that the winner of this fight would receive a contract. So these guys are fighting to get into karate combat.
That's true. For the Kickback 1 event, for those that remember, it was Kickback has kind of changed. Kickback has kind of become more of like Karate Combat's fight nights. Mm-hmm. But originally, the first Kickback event was designed to be more of a replacement for the Kumite, with more professional fighters, even though the Kumite could have been professional, but I digress. So every fight was a qualifier fight for a contract. With this fight, it was so close that they want to run it back to truly decide who deserves the contract, who deserves to be here in Karate Combat, who truly won this fight.
And obviously what you guys are saying, the fans, I mean, before we see that right there. Look, Oliveira was 62% from the fan voting last time on the app to only 38% for Akhmedov. And now you're seeing it completely. Akhmedov 65%, 35%. So everybody seems to believe that Akhmedov won that fight and he should be favored here. But no fights are ever the same. That's the thing. Rematches a lot of times don't play out exactly like the first fight either. And like Mallory said, these guys know each other extremely well right now. So they're going to be prepared, I think, for what the other person has to throw at them. What's that?
The step behind calf kick that he just did, the Anderson Silva style step behind calf.
Oh, yeah.
By Gustavo.
It's a lot of slick stuff that's going on during this match just to watch it happen. And I didn't know he was he came from kind of the Showtime. I should have guessed by the chest tattoos. It looks like some of the Pettis brothers. Maybe that's the thing kind of is going on in Wisconsin there, that style and everything. But here's a good question. What if you get another razor thin decision that goes the other way this time? Do you keep the guys around and dance for a third time?
I mean, what have you been saying that Safar lost this fight? Just to check, because he actually won this fight.
So we had it wrong. So, okay, so if it goes the opposite direction, and you have
like Gustavo lost this fight, Safar won.
Yes, Oliveira lost the fight as a favorite, as a betting. Right, correct.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that because I thought we were.
Thank you for the clarification. Because I had it backwards. I had it backwards in my mind. But what happens if you have another razor thin fight? Do you keep around for a third dance? You know?
Well, I guess based on the first time, I mean, now that Akhmedov, whatever the case is, he ended up winning the fight. I think if he wins the second fight, then even if it's close or controversial, you got to kind of just let it go at that point. Just kind of bomb it. But if it is, another controversial fight and Oliveira wins it and it's 1-1 officially, I think you have to almost run it back. Because, I mean, look how competitive we're watching in real time as well. It is a competitive fight. There's no question about it. So I'm surprised with so many people that are kind of just.
Again, I say sign them both because they're both amazing.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have,
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I like it. So yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see where this plays out. Like I said, I wouldn't, as far as the betting window goes, I think it's so competitive. And then the state of judging in all combat sports. Let's not forget that. We see it in the UFC, we see it in boxing, we see it in LFA, whatever the case is. It's the athletic commissions, the state athletic commissions that assign the judges, that assign the referees, whatever the case may be. And they end up making it a lot tougher on all of us because there's always controversial decisions in every combat sports. It seems it's unbelievable. So you got to factor in the judges as well. I would not lay chalk in this fight, but that's why I'm saying I don't trust the judges enough overall. Mm-hmm. And again, I mean, it's going to be such a competitive fight. Are you willing to risk 2 times your money? I don't think so. I think it's a dog or pass situation. Everybody's kind of like steaming Akhmedov up, but I would probably go on the other side and bet Oliveira, honestly. At this point.
As a quick side note, though, side discussion, I'm just curious, what are your thoughts on like Joe Rogan's proposal of like increasing judges to 5?
I like it, honestly. Whatever, you got to do something. I mean, it's so bad. You have to do something. So I'm willing to try pretty much anything, honestly, to try to get the judging a little better because it hasn't improved in many years. Now we're seeing
I want to see just one fight card of Rogan FC. Basketball court, MMA fights, no holds, 5.
Dude, I'm telling you right. I would, like I said, I'm open to it because I've been watching these decisions. It's been so bad for so long. It's not like, you know what I mean. And again, being professional bettors, whatever you want to call it, we've seen so many people get burned for stupidity. It's just such bad decisions. Now, I mean, people are just now realizing it, but I mean, this has been going on for so long and it just doesn't get better. So I'm open to any rule changes as far as judging goes to try something different because it just, whatever we have going on right now, obviously is not working. I mean, just, across the board overall. So definitely interested in seeing that. But again, that's what you have to factor in. I'm glad we brought it up because you do when you're betting your real money. You got to factor in the crazy judges too. I mean, it is what it is, but it's 100% true. That's why in the app it's a little bit more safer maybe to bet Akhmedov because again, it's a free roll. You got nothing to lose. You can earn your coins, tokens, whatever you want to say that way as well. But should be a good fight. So far, all these fights, man, have been phenomenal. I think Mac Tyson's going to be surprised with this next one a little bit. I think as far as the betting odds go. Because you have Elijah Everell coming in as an underdog.
Right. I had to double check the numbers because I was like, did I get that right? I looked at this 3 times to make sure I put this in right.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's 100% the case here. That's why I think Mac Tyson's going to be a little bit surprised here. But Brevin Sullivan coming in minus 160 over the famed Elijah Everell. Am I butchering that name at all? Mac Tyson's Everell?
I believe it's Everell, right?
No, you get it right.
So I think I'm pretty close to it. Everell. I just don't want to butcher these guys for names for sure. All right, so Sullivan coming in again, minus 160 to win 100 on his side, or the underdog, which you're not going to see Everell at plus 130 or as an underdog very often. Again, all of us know Raymond Daniels, one of the best sport karate fighters. Just, I think, combat sports practitioners, stand-up fighters of all time, period. I mean, you can put Raymond Daniels up there. He's just one of the greatest we've ever seen do it. So Everell, of course, is a protege of Raymond Daniels. We've seen it time and time again. But the respect factor is a little bit less now than it's been because we've seen him struggle with some performances. I don't think that's maybe as fair to say sometimes because, I mean, look at the competition level he's faced. But that being said, he is an underdog here. And we'll start off with Mac Tyson. What do you think? Everell as a plus 130 underdog to Brevin Sullivan.
I think the reason for it is one, Elijah Everell has not had a lot of full context experience on like Tapology because the fact is that he's since becoming signed with Karate Combat, he has become the British full contact kickboxing champion in WACO and the British K1 kickboxing rules kickboxing champion in WACO. So he is constantly improving. And he made a huge splash in his debut, amazing knockout. But I think what happened was in the next fight, it wasn't his best performance. He didn't dominate like people thought he was. And that was for 2 big factors. One, a lot of people were underestimating Javier Arteaga in that fight. Javier is a much better fighter in that fight. And everybody was doubting him except for me. I gotta give myself credit there because I always said that 100%. This was going to be the toughest fight. Was a much tougher fight than people were giving him credit for. The other aspect was the pit was very slippery at that event, and a lot of fighters talked about that. Raymond Daniels talked about it, and Elijah was, as he talked about in our interview with on Mac&Mal Karate Hour, was that he wasn't able to move like he normally does. So he was a lot more flat-footed, which is a tough thing to do with an opponent that has good knockout power like Javier Arteaga and also has the same high acuity when it comes to sense of distance, being a high-level point fighter in himself. But I will say that I think people are overlooking and judging Elijah more on that last performance. But this is a tough fight for Elijah and Brevin Sullivan because it is an amateur fighter fighting Elijah, making his pro debut in Karate Combat. But he's undefeated professional in mixed martial arts. So he's coming in with a well-rounded game, but a well-rounded MMA striking game, coming with a Bang Muay Thai style. The Bas Rutten inspired Bang Muay Thai style. So the most karate-esque Muay Thai style that's going to lend itself very well to the pit. He also has a southpaw advantage coming in with a very powerful head kick. Mal, try to get that fight that Brevin Sullivan won by that beautiful head kick.
So I did look that up, but I'm a little scared for a copyright strike. That's the only reason I don't have.
Hey, that's the beauty of Karate Combat. Any content creator that wants to use footage of Karate Combat events are able to, because Karate Combat prioritizes more getting that footage out for people to see than preserving the copyright of it.
Exactly. That's the beauty. That is definitely the beauty of it. And just to go back, to kind of segue into my kind of opinion of this, as Mac mentioned, we did talk to Elijah a day or two ago. One of the things that I asked him was, what adjustments did you make after Vegas? And again, knowing that the pit was slippery and everything, that it's going to be slippery for everyone. So what do you do? It wasn't like it was just slippery for Elijah and it wasn't for his opponent, but I think that he has made some adjustments. So I'm looking at this, and being that I know Elijah and his dad personally, I'm like, okay, he's an underdog here. But does that motivate him? And I think it does, because Elijah's a guy that he really likes to tool his craft here. He's going to work on it. However, not to take anything away from Brevin, I went and I looked at the footage. If you need to see footage on him, just Google his name. They're out there. He had a spectacular head kick knockout. He's got some great hands. He moves very well in the ring. And this is interesting that this is going to be his pro debut here. I would have thought it would have come out more in the May circuit before then, but he looks great. I believe it's going to be a great matchup for Elijah. It's going to be a great, as Elijah said, to test my skills against someone. One of the things that I'll give Everett credit for is he's not playing, the safe game in terms of like, just give me guys that I know that in terms stylistically, I have a better on paper, I have a better statistic of winning against this guy. He's willing to step up and challenge himself. And that's what a black belt does. Now, with that being said, I went over there and I selected him for on the Karate Combat app, and it's running currently. Let me get the accurate numbers again. Looks like he was 66% to 34%. Now, I don't know if that's again because of seeing a familiar face. Now you've seen Elijah there, and also again Raymond Daniels factor. But Raymond will not be in Tennessee, so I do know that Raymond will not be there. Elijah's going to be coached by his dad. His dad, Adrian Everett. And also, another thing, this is a hometown fight for Brevin. So take that into the factor as well.
Whew, this is a tough one, man. Again,
it is. It's a tough one.
Karate Combat not doing any favors.
A little nugget from our interview with Elijah, though. He was training with Leon Edwards ahead of this fight.
Awesome.
This is true.
I mean, that you can't go wrong there, of course. I mean, again, we're talking about an ultimate training partner for both guys. I mean, for Edwards having that look that Elijah gives you, and for the stand-up game is phenomenal, and vice versa. So
but just working with MMA fighters from that camp, that's a huge advantage that he had that experience going into this fight, because he is not coming in with a point guy. He's coming in with a more MMA style striker. So.
Right.
Having that experience is going to be a huge advantage for him. And if he's able to win this fight in an impressive fashion, that's going to be an important message to the division, saying, I am the next big thing in this division. I am not just the next Raymond Daniels. I am the first Elijah Everett.
Ooh, I like it, man. Well said. Look, I think a lot of people are down on Elijah right now because of that loss to Ortega, like you said, Javier. But Javier's getting so good.
It was a win. It was a win.
He won.
I'm sorry, the win. Yes, I'm sorry.
But it
was way more competitive. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm crossing my wins, losses, but I did realize that he won. I'm just saying, but it was such a competitive fight that I think people are not going to, even though it was a win, a lot of people felt like he lost. Look, I just slipped out, said he lost that fight, right? Because we were expecting him to perform so well.
Right.
And who performed so well was Javier on the other side. He just overperformed. Again, maybe Mac Tyson, you were expecting it, but I was expecting Elijah to just kind of, do his thing at that point. I mean, just clearly win that fight, not be as close as it was. I mean, honestly, there was maybe a little bit of controversy there too, because you could make a case that Javier won that fight.
You can definitely make that case.
So I think all that factored in, people are saying, wait a second, man, with this is a different beast. This isn't the sport karate tournaments or whatever. I'm not knocking him. I'm just saying this is Karate Combat. The pit's a little bit different with the full contact experience. Then you see an MMA fighter, even though he hasn't made his official pro debut, with the experience that he has in MMA so far, even having a kickboxing match on his resume as well. And I mean, the hype around Brevin too. So this is a really good test for both fighters. And I'm just surprised, again, because of the overall hype that you're seeing him as a dog, period. I would think that outweighs him. But that being said, there's probably something to Brevin being a favorite here, man. I think he is going to have that combat sports, like the real-time full contact experience over him. He's not a fish out of water on the feet. He might have a little bit of a wrestling edge. It comes into play as well. We'll see how that plays out. So there's a lot of unknowns here is what I'm getting at. So very difficult one to bet. I think it's almost automatic. When you're seeing a plus number by Elijah Everill's name, I think it's almost an auto bet Like if you're getting a plus money, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does lose this fight. So this is an interesting one for sure. But again, at the price tag, I'll go with Elijah. I think people are underestimating him. And what a big turnaround. We went from seeing him as a huge, chalky favorite in his fights to being an underdog here. So I think it's a little bit too much. I'm expecting some fireworks here, but I'll go with Elijah. I'll pick Elijah to win and get back on track. Like Max said, if he gets this win in impressive fashion, holy cow, I think he'll be back. He'll get a lot of those guys that might have jumped off his bandwagon will probably jump right back on. A good performance can do it. Unfortunately, you're only as good as your last win, whatever the case may be. A lot of times, your last loss, that's the way it is in the public side, but that's not always the case. So, man, what an awesome card.
And honestly, it doesn't hurt sometimes to lose a little bit of steam because with these young guys, like, and they are young, because like Elijah Averill, 26, Brevin Sullivan, 22. These are very young fighters that are still developing. Like, you have not seen the best Brevin Sullivan. You have not seen the best Elijah Averill yet. And sometimes when you get hyped too quickly, like Sage Northcutt, it doesn't give you the time to really get those matches you need to develop.
Yeah, well said there, too. I agree completely. So, man, they're so young, so good. It's awesome. I mean, good things for sure. Look, I don't want to take too much time, but I think we covered the meat and bones of this card. So maybe do some honorable mentions here with a couple other fights you guys want to touch on, because there's odds on, of course, the grappling. There's a couple more. We have Dylan O'Sullivan's taking on Connor Bracken, Robert Connor Bracken, that is. Dylan O'Sullivan, I'll just mention the odds real quick. It's minus 240, plus 190. So Dylan O'Sullivan, a slight favorite. And, of course, Weathersby, favorite over Jones, about minus 400. So a decent-sized favorite there. But I know
one important note for Adrian Weathersby, Shidokan karate stylist, high-level kickboxer, former rival of the champion Ross Levine. He's kind of sad to see Ross go because he wanted to run that back with Ross.
Of course, man. A fighter's mentality. No doubt about it for sure. But Weatherby, as you said, coming in as a solid favorite makes a lot of sense. But I know, Mallory, you were talking about your boy, Aljamain Sterling on the grappling end of things, man. He's facing a veteran in J.J. Wilson as well. So he's coming in as a minus 185 favorite. It was actually a little bit lower than that. Aljamain got bet up to minus 185. I think it was minus 175. So the money is coming in on Aljamain Sterling. Of course, we know how much of a phenomenal grappler he is. So anything you guys want to say or touch on in these fights?
I'm actually really excited about this. It's good to see the Funk Master grace the pit. And it's interesting because you can kind of do this. And, you know, he's looking for an opponent now for the UFC. Or did he? I can't remember if that fight was announced. I know he's trying to get it.
Yeah, he might. I think I don't know if the rumor is confirmed or not, but I think it's yeah.
I don't know if it's got a huge paper, but he can come in here and he could do something like this, and I think this gives him a chance to really showcase his strength in jiu-jitsu. A lot of people, if in terms of back takes in MMA, Aljo just like leaps on, and like you say, backpack, boom, he's right there. So I'm kind of excited to see how he does in the pit. It's a different animal. It's not mat. You know, you've got the sliding pit walls, everything. As we've seen the flying triangle before. So you know what? Let's give these grapplers a chance to shine in here. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Aljo make his debut in the pit.
I'll be honest, I don't know much about J.J. Wilson. I think he's a PFL or Bellator vet.
Yep, he's fought Bellator. Correct, he's a Bellator veteran. And he's got some solid experience.
Yeah. How's he as a grappler? If you know, Nick.
I haven't watched him grapple too much. I've focused more on UFC these days rather than the Bellator, so I haven't seen a lot of his career in the grappling realm. But if he's only again, I'm just looking at it like this. He's a slight favorite over Aljo. His grappling is definitely going to be on par. So for me, I'm not a grappling expert. I'm not going to claim to be, whatever the case may be. But him coming in, it tells you a lot. I mean, with his name recognition and where the line being under minus 200, this is going to be a competitive grappling match. So J.J. Wilson, obviously not a fish out of water on the ground either. So this is cool. This is, again, just seeing Aljo compete here is just phenomenal.
We got to get Josh in here just to speak a little grappling one day. Just get him, because this is definitely his wheelhouse. He'd probably go on and on and on about techniques and what to watch out for and everything. That guy's definitely
honestly, if we get to if we're all at an event, we could probably do one live with Josh.
Yeah, I'm down with that. I'm definitely down with that.
Man, grappling is. I know the Pit Submission Series. I was going to say, I talked to a friend recently. They're saying how much and this is probably, there's some truth to it. They love the pit, right? They love grappling in the pit because the way the pit walls are, everything. You know what I mean? It's a different kind of feel and look. And again, they're getting some talented grapplers. And of course, dude, I have to mention Alexander Romanov coming in. He's grappling as well, the UFC veteran, of course. But underdog. And Romanov, you know he's got the ground game to go along with it. But D'Souza obviously coming in as a solid favorite for a reason. But it is tempting to throw a little bit on Romanov, man. I mean, just what we've seen in the UFC from Romanov, I mean, the grappling ability he has and whatnot. So he's coming in. Again, Karate Combat doing a really good job of, I think, grabbing some fun fan favorites like an Aljo, like a Romanov, whatever the case may be, and throw them in the pit for submission fighting. It's fantastic. And again, these lines are available to bet on at betonline.ag, all of these fights and more, of course, because they got lines up for a lot of the MMA events this weekend. Of course, football's around the corner. So if you guys want to bet NFL football, college football, whatever the case may be, betonline.ag has you covered there as well. All right, gentlemen. I think we got most of it covered, man. And I appreciate you guys coming out and dropping knowledge.
It's going to be a good bet.
It really is, man. I mean, again, Karate Combat 48. And what's the next one? I think they got 49 is where? Just around the corner. Do you know where it's taking place at, Mac?
I don't remember the order, but I know we got Shanghai, we got Singapore, potentially either Salt Lake City or Dubai for October, if I'm remembering correctly. And then the end of the year card is going to be Abu Dhabi, I believe. But either Abu Dhabi or Dubai, UAE either way.
Man, some fun stuff for sure with Karate Combat.
I can't talk about who's on the card, but if all the fight, like the Shanghai card, some of the best fighters in China are going to be on that card.
I believe it, man. I'm looking forward to that for sure. And of course, Karate Combat always has celebrities in attendance, right? Like this weekend, what I've seen. What is it? That girl that went viral recently. What's her name?
Her name is. Oh man, why do I know this? I was just looking at the Hokuto girl. I can't remember. I'm trying to remember her. You know, her
is it Haley?
I think it's Haley. Yeah, you're right. It's
I think it's Haley. I think Haley's going to be there too as well. Yeah, so
she might be fighting in the IFC in the future.
Yeah, who should call out? JoJo Siwa or something, right?
Yeah, she did make a call out. I'm just going to put Mac on the spot. You might have to explain to me offline what Hawk 2 means because I have no idea what it means. I completely don't know what I've been trying to go to Urban Dictionary. I can't find out what it means. So you might have to explain that to me, Mac, offline. You know, we'll figure it out.
We'll talk about offline. I think there's some clips out there we can help you explain a little bit.
new sponsor, maybe. Yeah, new sponsor for sure.
It's amazing how, like, you know, a viral moment like that or whatever the case may be, how somebody can turn into a superstar. And you know what? She seems like she's a very nice person too. Like, you know what I mean? Everything you see, she seems like a genuine girl too. So
there have been more people that have gone viral for worse things. And I'm looking at kind of like what this has happened. And you know what? Let this young lady live her life. And she made a good joke at the right time. And she's been to New York and doing all that stuff. And honestly, so let her, go for it.
Good on her. It actually shows her business acumen to take her 15 minutes of fame and be able to monetize it and be able to network and build her own brand off of it.
Exactly.
So,
100%.
Hopefully she can get past being known as Hawk Tour.
Just that. But, you know, it's interesting that you just mentioned that, but that's also on her Instagram. She says, I'm only got 15 minutes of fame, so I'm going to do something with it. While she was in New York, she got donations from PetSmart to take to a local animal shelter to try to get some dogs adopted. I mean, it's not just all about me. She's doing something good here. So kudos to her, man. Hey, you know,
No, seriously, we're seeing a lot of that come out. So again, hats off to her. For those fans that are going crazy and would love to meet her, she's going to be at Nashville at Karate Combat. So head over to karatecombat.com and check out. There might be some tickets left. It's probably going to sell out quick because, I mean, Karate Combat is the place to be anywhere they're at, whether it's Nashville, whether it's Vegas, whether it's Abu Dhabi, whatever the case may be, Karate Combat has you covered. So I guess that's it for us, right, guys? So we'll see everybody next time. All right. Enjoy the fights this weekend. Cash some tickets and good luck even on the app betting. Go to karate.com and download the app if you haven't already and play for free. Enjoy the fights. We'll see you guys next time.